Amy, good gorilla. Samos, return for Amy. Samos, tickle Amy. Hello everybody, this is the Starving Martian, and I was recently asked a question about the Alpha Pod here. A while back I did a review on Pericles, this adorable little astronaut chimp from the Planet of the Apes movie, directed by Tim Burton. And he comes with this Alpha Pod, this little spaceship unit, which is really the best reason to buy the figure. Pericles himself is awesome, but this thing, if anything, is even better. Just a really nifty little spaceship toy. I was recently asked in the comment section if a G.I. Joe figure would fit in this thing. And it's a really interesting question. It's a really good question because even though I don't actually own any G.I. Joes, I do know that figures of that size are all over the place. And if a G.I. Joe can fit in here, then chances are most of your Star Wars figures can fit in here, things of that nature. And so I was going to just type off a response, but I figured, why don't I take a closer look at the Alpha Pod here and figure out exactly who does and does not fit in here. And I found a lot more figures will actually go with the Alpha Pod than I originally suspected. So, right off the bat, we have our friend the Terminator Endoskeleton. I recently did a review on him. With his bendable knees, he fits perfectly in this thing. It's like it was made for him. And if you could just imagine an entire army of these guys falling out of the sky on you, that's terrifying. So this guy here is about the same scale as a Star Wars or a G.I. Joe figure would be. Now when I did the video on him, I compared him to Spock here, who again is same scale. And so we're going to put Spock in the Alpha Pod. Okay, now you notice a lot of these figures, they'll fit in there really nice, but they're very loose. They're going to jangle around. They don't secure in place. But once this is shut, I mean, they're not going anywhere. They'll rattle if you shake the ship. But they fit in there rather well. And he's ready to exit. So yes, your standard G.I. Joe figure will fit in there pretty well. I did try fitting such figures as Super Mario Brothers, a couple others in here when I originally did the video. And you know, your average size figure, like my favorite Hannah Dundee here, just will not fit. Her legs get in the way. With a little bit of push and shove, though. This is Ellie Sattler from the original Jurassic Park line. And again, she doesn't look comfortable, but you can definitely put her in there, and she fits rather well. Her feet are just up over this rest instead of along the sides of it like they ought to be. So when they eventually do Jurassic World in a Mars colony or whatever, you know, she's ready to go for that. Here's young Will Robinson. Probably the only figure in his line that fits in here, but fit he does. What I found really cool is that you can fit crash test dummy figures in here. So if you want to see what happens if, to the human body if you crash it into an asteroid, you put your crash test dummy in your space pod and fire it off. You know, impact the moon, see if it survives. This is a smaller crash test dummy. You can get the regular size crash test dummies, the taller ones, in here as well. Takes a little bit of finagling, and they're a little bit less comfortable, but since when has comfort ever mattered to a crash test dummy? So that's pretty neat. I was also amused to find that Penny from Inspector Gadget actually fits in here. So now she can help Uncle Gadget on his space missions, I suppose. the worm guy from Men in Black. Obviously too big to fit in here, but they are bendable. And you can fit him in there. There he goes. So, when they need to escape from their homeworld and get to someplace that has coffee, this might be what they use if they don't mind being crammed up. I was even able to fit a couple Transformers figures in here, and I'll just show one. This is Slash, the newest member of the Dinobots. And when you put her into robot mode, again, she fits in here rather well. Her big bulky shoulders kind of pin her in place. And there you go. Since her alternate mode is a dinosaur, she can't travel on her own, so she needs one of these. And she can fly into battle against the Decepticons. And so yeah, when I first showed this off, I was mostly showing it off as the accessory piece to the Pericles figure, which, to be fair to myself, that's what it is. But as it turns out, it is a lot more versatile than that. Again, you're not going to be getting like you know, your standard action figures. You're not going to be getting Batman in there or anything like that. I tried some of my Borg figures; they're way too big. There was a couple of figures I really desperately wanted to make work. This is Vasquez from Aliens. She comes so close to fitting in there, but not quite. It just won't seal around her. It's a recent Legend of Zelda figure from World of Nintendo. And it might just be his skirts here that prevent his legs from coming up, but he won't fit in there either. Which is unfortunate. I don't have a Samus of this size, but I would love to see a Samus fit in there, and based on this figure, I doubt she will. I'm not going to say 100% yes or no, but I rather doubt it. So, not everything, in fact, not everything of the right size is going to fit in there. Here's a little robot guy that I got from my grandfather. I believe he's a Shogun warrior, I'm not positive, but he looks like he should fit in there because he's the right size, but because his legs don't really move all that much, you can't close the canopy around him. So, anyway, I would say it's a perfect accessory, though, definitely, to these endoskeletons, and anything in the 3.5, 3 3/4 scale, like your G.I. Joe figures, like your Star Wars figures, they're going to fit in there really well. So, anywho, I hope this has been a help to some of you, and we'll catch up with you next time. This has been the Starving Martian. Keep watching the skies, everyone.